cannot believe that I'm back here again. I guess I should have known better.
Why did he break up with you the first time?
Oh, good question. My dad offered him a truckload of money. Yep. Dad's a real piece of work.
Gabe actually took the cash.
Mm-hmm. And you'll never guess how he broke up with me. In a note. And then years later, he turns up in the bay, desperate to reconcile.
You must have really loved him to have taken him back.
Yeah, look where it's gotten me.
Maybe try calling him?
Calling him, yeah, I've tried calling him, but he's not answering his phone and he's probably blocked my number like last time.
Maybe he just needs time.
Time? Gabe doesn't think that he has time. And whatever time he does have left, he sure as hell doesn't want to spend it with me. You know, I was too honest, Marley. I told him that I was struggling.
Of course you were. That's normal.
Yeah, but he didn't think I could cope, and that is why he ended it. But again, that should have been my decision, not his. You know, we were supposed to be in all of this together. But clearly, he had no faith in me or our relationship. Sorry.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, get your popcorn ready, Sophie.
Oh.
Because we're about to watch Blockbuster Week.
The much anticipated.
Yes, I'm expecting high action.
Yeah, me too.
Betrayal.
The drama. Yeah, I keep seeing this trailer. Do you? I was watching Savage River on My Five the other day, the first episode, because I thought, oh, that looks quite good. And
I
it
was meant
keeps
to get your thoughts on that before we started. But tell me later.
I'll tell you later. It keeps recommending it to me because I think it's going, oh, you're a Homer's fan, so you'll like this. And I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
But in one of the ad breaks, it said Blockbuster Week, Home and Away. And I tried not to watch it, but I was like, I have to see it. So I've seen a lot of the stuff that's coming up next week, but it could be a good one, I think. So
Could be a good week. I think it's going to be good. I mean, suddenly things have, the gear's gone up, hasn't it, on the last couple of episodes, and we'll cover it this week. But yes, we're going into a bit of a mad week on Home and Away, hopefully, and episode 8,000. Remember,
oh yes,
the big 8,000 episode, which seems to be a bit of an event this year. Looking online, so this time round. So let's. I'm rubbing my hands together, like, ooh, I'm ready for it. Roll on Monday. How's your week been? Good.
Long, well, short week, but long work week. What about you? It just feels like all the work's just condensed into 4 days. It's not good.
Same.
Yeah?
It's been a tough week this week. So I'm ready. So we've got a glass of vino, haven't we, each?
Yeah.
And we're just going to sit down for the next hour or so and chit chat about the Bay. So thank you for listening, people. Right. Do you want your headlines?
I do.
Oh, actually. Sorry. Before we get into the headlines, we need to remind people about the old competition that we launched last weekend. That's how long ago it's been since we've done one. I forgot already. We're giving away, aren't we, a signed photo, autographed picture, autographed in person in London the other week when you and I went down to London to meet Dean and Ziggy, Sophie Dillman and Patrick O'Connor. All the details are on last week's episode. So if you haven't listened to that, go and check that out. But you need to email us the answer to the following question, which I'm finding. Dean and Ziggy recently gave birth to a beautiful daughter. What is her name? Send us an email to coastalnewspod@gmail.com just with your answer, and you'll be entered into the draw. You've got till the 27th of May. All countries welcome. It's open to all in any location, and you might as well own a piece of, an autograph from Dean and Ziggy.
Bit of memorabilia, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. It's the biggest giveaway we've done, and we've done a few now.
Yeah.
So make sure you're in it to win it. And so I'll ask you again. Do you want your headlines?
I do. Good luck for the competition, people. But yes, I do
Sorry.
want my headlines.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Right. Tane and Flick sing their way home after a huge turn of events. The wedding is back on.
Hmm?
Eden has some choice words for Brie. The fallout from Ava's obsession steps up a gear and results in Ava getting into a stranger's car. And Gabe starts chemo but has second thoughts about sticking around, crushing Mac when he leaves the bay.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
So as I say, Tane and Flick literally sang their way back into town in what can only be described as cheesy scene on TV.
It was like cheesy and cringy enough, and then Tane joined in, and I wasn't expecting him to.
Yeah, with the moves.
I was like, okay, now that just ramps it up a bit.
The whole room, there was a few of us watching it on telly, the whole room just erupted with laughter. I was like, oh God. And I was like, shh.
Everybody quiet, no talking during Homer's. Oh dear.
Rewind it. Yeah, so they've come back from Gary's, haven't they? If you remember, we left them up at Gary's house, Gary's farm, talking things through, working out what their future looked like if they had a future. Just agreed to sort of be away from all the drama of the bay to talk through and see if they wanted to be together, basically, didn't they? And it turns out they've decided, yeah, they're going to give this a go. Got an opinion on that?
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
It's a very, very quick turnaround, but this is kind of a common theme at the moment, isn't it? I'm feeling like every storyline is starting and ending in the same week at the moment. So, you know, obviously Flick had said she was going off to Gary's to have some time away to herself, and I expected her to take a little bit longer to kind of do that, but she kind of got over everything in a day. You know, she went and had that lovely scene at the graves, had that chat with her dad, you know, poured her heart out, said, I'm going to change, I'm going to be happy, I'm not going to spiral, and I'm not going to, you know, throw my life down the toilet. And then, you know, calls Tane, he comes running, and then, you know, they decide to get back together. That bit in itself, I'm not even talking about when they get back to the bay, but that bit in itself was fast, wasn't it? That he agreed to get back together. He did have some, you know, trepidation, I guess. What does us getting back together look like? You know, how do I know this is what you want, etc.
Yeah.
But even that, I think even him turning around and saying that he would agree to it was fast, and getting back in the car and coming straight back to the bay. I really thought they were going to take some more time. What did you think?
I think he should have made her sweat a bit. You know, I think after everything she's put him through, I think he went up there at the drop of a hat, didn't he? You know, what am I doing here? She's like, well, I was hoping we could, you know, work out where we go from here. And he's just sort of gone with it. I think he's that far gone with her. Like, you know, she could say anything and he'd just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it seems to be no matter what she does to him, he'll forgive absolutely anything when it comes to her, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean that kind of bond, I suppose, is envious in one way, but in another way, I sort of think, come on, Tani, you know, stick up yourself a bit. Fair enough, because it's what he wants ultimately. So if she's finally on that page, you know, you can't blame him for seizing that moment, you know, and going with it. But I'd have made her sweat a bit if I was in his boots, you know, just for a couple of days, thinking I need to sleep on this, you know, after everything that's gone on. You left me at the altar, you didn't want to get married, you've then pushed me away, you've said some hurtful things to me, you know, kicked me out of your restaurant. Actually, I'm gonna take a weekend to think about it and let her sweat. That's what I'd have done.
I don't think that's unreasonable either. And I think actually, if you had done that, it would have been quite interesting to see what her reaction would be to that. If she'd been reasonable at that point and said, "Oh God, yeah, I get it. Take some time. I still need to, heal and work on myself. Let's come back next week." All of that would have been reasonable. If she'd kicked off and said, "Oh well, you don't want to be with me and it's over," blah, then he knows that that's still there. It's still a problem. And she's still a flight risk. She's not being an adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. It feels a bit fat, and that's before we even get them back to the bay.
Exactly. Absolutely spot on. And when they are back, he's then reminded of the whole Neek's left in the middle of all this. And I was looking at pictures on the fridge. I think it's sort of the reminder that actually he is his own person and he's got his own things to consider. Do you know what I mean? Not just her. But they do seem in a better place overall, and I must admit that's a good place to be. To be fair, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's better than it was, isn't it? The fact that they're talking and moving forward. She's gone back home. When we were talking about last week, weren't we? That was a big deal in itself because she's never been back since she ran away with Cash years ago. She's never gone back and confronted a demon. So the fact that she went back home was a big deal. It shows that she does want to move on and she does want to, put things behind her. But I mean, they came back and met Cash, didn't they? And Cash was asking, "How did it go? What, are you back together?" And she was going, "Yeah, we're back together, but we're going to take it slow." And I was thinking, okay, I can get on board with that. That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Taking it slow, finding out what people want out of the relationship, trying to see if we can work towards that together. Except I was sort of optimistic, but at that point. But then what happened? What happened, Si? Because I can't talk about it.
Well, just casual stroll on the beach as you do, and there's Felicity popping the question. And he just, well, to be fair to him, he doesn't. He's apprehensive, isn't he? He says things. You struggled with marriage from the start, and she's like, "I love you. It's different now. Do you think this is gonna make, me happy? I hate life without you in it." Things like that, and so I think he sort of won round quite quickly. It didn't take much.
No.
But there was a little bit of apprehension. He was a bit like, "This is a bit," but everything's forgotten. Ring on the finger. The wedding's back on. They're both jumping for joy. Things do seem different now.
Yeah. It's just, I'm finding it quite difficult to get on board with, I'll be honest, because I'm just like, I get that they want to be together and they want to do that commitment thing, and she wants to prove to him that she's not going to leg it and all that stuff. I get it. What's the big rush about getting married? I don't get what the drama is about this. Because now that they've decided to get married, he's finally, he did give her about 2 minutes of stewing time, didn't he? And then said yes. But now they're saying, like, we want to get married as soon as possible. How quick can we put this wedding together? And I'm like, what is the obsession with making this fast? I don't get it. I know.
The rush. Well, do you remember when this came about first time round, and you were on the podcast saying, why do you even need marriage? And I think it's just a piece of paper type conversation. Was your argument, and Tane, it sort of symbolized that commitment, didn't it? And like that sort of official moment, the way you're declaring it to the people you love that you're my person, and I think this is supposed to take us back to that moment where Felicity wants to do that now. She in front of everybody, I want to make it official that you're the person for me, given that 3 episodes ago I told you never wanted to see you again.
Never wanted to get married in the first place, is what she said. I never wanted to marry you in the first place. This is why I'm
a stretch.
Struggling. Yeah.
It's a definite stretch because this miracle trip to Gary, I think we should all go there when we've got a problem.
Yeah.
that we need to overcome, because honestly, the guy does wonders,
It's like
doesn't he?
a retreat for mental health, I think, Gavi's house. Sounds great. I could do with
Yeah,
a week there.
yeah,
Not never mind a day.
yeah. Book us in. Oof.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick's on the phone though, isn't he? But Nick's the speedo as well. You know, he wants the date.
I
When's the date
know.
happening?
Well, this is what I was just thinking when you were saying about Felicity wants to do this in front of all the people that she loves. You know, declare you're my person. You know, this is forever. Blah blah blah. I was thinking, there's no one there now for Tane. Like his nephew, his best man, is now in New York. Are they going to fly Nico back for the wedding? I've got so many questions. He's got no
Well,
family here.
we don't know where the wedding is yet, do we? We know it's going to be somewhere different.
Yeah.
Because there's that scene, isn't there, at Salt where they get the champers out and they tell Cash and Eden. Actually,
champers. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Flick on the wagon for a day. I'm not drinking anymore. I feel great. Champagne. Another thing I had to sort of try and get over in a nanosecond.
But what I found even more strange than that, even though that was strange, I found that they just thought, do you know what? We need a wedding. Over to you.
That was so weird. I mean, this annoyed me actually, because on behalf of Cash and Eden, I was like, they practically organised the last one. You know, Eden did all the dress shopping stuff for Flick. She organised the hen do, and then Flick ripped it up at the last minute. Cash organised the wedding car. They'd organised like most of the stuff for the first wedding. Then Eden got knocked into a coma. She got chucked into a petrol station. And Cash sat by her bedside for a month. They've been through a hell of a lot of trauma between them. And now they've been told to, do it again. Do it again.
You do it.
Just tell us when to turn up. I was like, you cheeky git.
I had the same response.
I would have walked out. I'd have been like, F your wedding, I'm going on holiday.
I said, you're having a laugh, aren't you? Not a chance.
Not a chance in hell. Yeah.
Not a chance. The bay would freeze over before I did that.
Oh dear. Yeah.
They have got a nerve, haven't they?
So cheeky.
When and where is up to you. You let us know. I thought, what? Did I just hear that?
Right then, the 12th of never. And I'm going on holiday to get away from you, Pear, because the drama, I cannot.
I was thinking, I tried to do your hen night and you took over that.
Exactly. She can't even get the karaoke bus right. So how is she going to get a wedding right, for God's sake?
I've literally written in my notes, WTF. Just to summarise that up. But the wedding's on. I know, the wedding's on. Cheekily, they've asked Cash and Eden to organise it. They have agreed without reluctance, surprisingly. And so we don't know where it's going to be. We just know it's not going to be in the same place, probably because the road's still closed.
Still mopping up. And,
the gasolina.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to start this next bit with an opinion, because we normally explain what's happened and then draw on our opinions, don't we? But right at the outset, I'm just going to say Brie has got absolutely no right to be upset about Remy.
No. Agreed. Hard agree.
For two reasons. One, he didn't do anything. I know he was going to, and he was upset and had a drink, hadn't he? But two, even he was single anyway, single Pringle. You said this last week. Like, she's absolutely got no right. We know
she didn't leave the door open, did she? She didn't say like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I still need some space." She said categorically to him, "I'm not interested in you, Remy. It was a mistake. It's over. Get over it." I think. Did she say get over it or something like that?
Yeah. I know this, know that.
Yeah.
I choose nothing.
I want nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't any reading between the lines. It was so blatantly, you're dumped. I don't want anything to do with you ever.
Sounded pretty final to me.
Did to
me. Let me tell you. And you know, what the issue we're talking about here is him, you know, taking home that girl from the bar, them not going through with it, but her seeing them the next morning out on the front porch, him waving her off and putting two and two together. And Eden gets wind of this because Remy's down in the dumps, isn't he? He's had this sort of blowout with her because she's like, I saw you with that hussy, you know, like, how dare you? And he's like, what? Like, I can't even, he can't even explain himself to her because he thinks it's so ridiculous, is the inference I'm drawing from that scene at the beach. Eden gets wind and she goes and has a word with her. Now, I was really proud of Eden for this because I thought, this could go one or two ways. She could go around there and just meddle because Remy hadn't really said much, had he, other than, you know, sticking to the facts of the evening.
Well, she'd seen him asleep on the couch. She got home and said, did he sleep on the couch? And he said, yeah. He didn't explain at that point that girl stayed over, but he did later on, didn't he? He told her about what happened. And she saw with her own eyes that he hadn't slept in his own bed. Yeah,
he was putting away the doona. But none of them know about Bree's pregnancy predicament, do they? So she's gone round there and she said, you owe it to Remy to be honest. And I'm like, yeah, you do. Because I thought when she first knocked and turned up, I thought, oh God, don't Eden. You know, it's between the two of them. I know you're sticking up for him, you know, and you're trying to be Team Remy here, and you're calling her out when she's treating someone wrong, and I get that, but I thought this could blow up in your face because it's none of your business, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's done this a couple of times in the past, hasn't she? Between the two of them, and I thought, it's going to be a bit of a common thing of her sticking her oar in. I'm not going to like that.
She did it with Jacob, didn't she? Do you remember she stood up to Jacob, and Jacob was like, control your friend or whatever?
That's true. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. However, I was quite happy with the way she did it. You know, you owe it to Remy to be honest. You know, you don't just get to show up on his doorstep. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, and I think Bree needed to hear that at that moment, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know whether she would have heard it from anybody else. Like you, I think I was a bit sort of, oh, this is actually none of your business, Eden, and I don't know whether it's a good idea for you to go poking your nose in. That's what I was thinking as well. But then afterwards, after the scene, I was like, to be honest, she needed to hear that. And who else would have said it to her?
Yeah. Yeah, because Rose is just sort of telling her what she wants to hear, isn't she, really?
Yeah, she's being... She did sort of say, well, are you sure you saw everything? Are you sure you've got the right end of the stick? And Brie was like, yes, I have. So Rose was like, oh, okay, well, fair enough if you have. Obviously, Eden knows that she doesn't. So, if Eden hadn't poked her nose in, Brie wouldn't have realised that she was being a douchebag, would she? So we had to have it.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, no, I like the way she executed it, you know, because I was a bit nervous when I first saw her turn up there. And I thought, it's just going to make things worse, you know. And we know Remy's not coping well at all. And I just thought, last thing we need is Brie going booting off to Remy about her having a go. You know, do you know what I mean? I thought, just want to go down that route. Rose does come home, though, and interrupt this conversation, doesn't she? So Eden does the whole soap opera thing. I was just leaving. And leaves.
I was on my way anyway. See you later.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're done. Type thing that soaps do.
Yeah.
And then Brie sort of confides in Rose again. She's sort of been leaning on Rose, hasn't she? We've had many scenes between the two of them. As I say, I think Rose has been supportive but not critical. But again, she won't know the full extent, I suppose. She's only seeing it from Brie's perspective. And she announces to Rose that she's decided after all this that she's going to have the abortion and terminate the pregnancy. Same time as this is happening concurrently, Remy's hitting the road. He wants to get out of town. Doesn't let Eden go with him. He needs some space. That seems to be his... And I think that's right for him. Just get out of the way. Doesn't have to bump into her. But that's going to prolong him discovering that she's pregnant, isn't it? And we were saying last week, if she gave him a chance with the truth, he might surprise her. And I think he would surprise her. What you're making about this then? So, abortion, do you think it's right? Do you think...
It's a very heavy topic, isn't it, this to do on a soap, because obviously everyone's got their opinions and there's the moral and religious stuff that comes into it as well. So it's a serious topic that we probably can't take too flippantly, but I can see both sides. I can see, you know, potentially this is Remy's baby. So if he is the dad, he has a right to know that she's pregnant, if she's going to keep it or if she's going to get back together with him. You know, if there was if it was a future for them, or if they, you know, if she was going to keep the baby, she absolutely needs to come clean. But if they really are over and she doesn't even envisage going back there, does she have to tell him? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and actually, it isn't anything to do with him, really.
No,
Just
it's her body, isn't it? At the end of the day, so if she decides not to go ahead with the pregnancy and never get back with Remy, it's her body, her choice, isn't it? She doesn't really need to tell him. If it was the other way around, if she thought there was a chance for them to get back together, or if she thought she was going to keep the child, I think he does need to know in that situation, because it does affect him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he gets to choose then whether that's something he wants to take on or not.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. He gets to have a choice in whether he's in the baby's life, whether he's in Bree's life. But at the moment, she's told him to rack off. And, you know, he doesn't need to know.
And my gut feeling is she's saying she wants an abortion because she's upset at being confronted by Eden.
I don't know.
I'm in two minds.
I kind of hope that she'd got those sort of questions in her head before that all happened, because we know that she's not in a good place mentally. She's come out of this toxic relationship. She's been saying that she's just started therapy, hasn't she, with this counsellor? She's with Jacob for years, like half of her life. I think she said she was with Jacob. She's only known being in that abusive relationship. She's not known how to be on her own or in a normal relationship. She needs time to work on herself. Is having a baby and bringing a baby gonna make her life more stable? No, it's really not going to make her life more stable. You know, having a baby is one of the most destabilizing things you can do, I think. So is it a good idea? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping she'd have that thought pattern before she had the conversation with Eden.
I think she did. I think she was mulling over what she was wanting to do about the pregnancy. Do you remember a few days ago she said to Rose, "Oh, you know, don't know what I'm going to do. You know, this is making me think about what I need to do about the pregnancy, blah, 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 blah." But I think for me, it just felt a bit like knee-jerk reaction. Eden's just come over, had a go at her. She's all worked up about seeing Remy with another woman. Right, I'm getting rid of this baby, blah, blah, blah. I think in her head, running up to that, she was like, what do I do? Do I keep it and this? Do I, like you said last week, you were talking, you know, you'd be worrying about the baby turning out like Jacob. You'd be, you know, I want to be with Remy. I love Remy. Will he accept baby? But all that's going to be going through her mind.
Yeah.
And now she's upset, you know, and it's all kicked off. Right, I'm getting rid. That's decided it. And I'm just a bit like, I'm hoping she calms down and climbs down from this heightened state a little bit, and then looks at it with her eyes wide open again.
Yes.
Whether she keeps it or not, I don't really mind at this stage.
No.
And I think even if the baby was Remy's, let's say, you know, we know it's not from what she's telling us.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's more likely to be Jacob's, because it sounds like with Jacob they weren't using contraception, whereas with Remy they were.
Yeah,
I mean, contraception is not 100% effective, so it's still a chance.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And that could be a big twist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It comes out with a guitar. But even if it was his, I would still be saying it's her choice.
Oh, absolutely. I think it is her choice ultimately, but I think if she does decide to keep the baby and it does turn out to be Remy's, he has got a right to know about that, and then, like you say, decide whether he wants anything to do with that child or with Bree or not. I think that's only fair, because it's not fair on the child either to be brought up without knowing who their father is and all of that sort of stuff as well. So at the moment, if there's no future for them, and she decides to not keep the baby, I think that's her choice ultimately.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think this is gonna provide us with quite a lot of debate, I think, over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, sensitive topic, opinions from all angles, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to discuss on here. I really do.
Yeah.
So, if you've got any thoughts, let us know as well. What do you think? Do you think she's making the right call at this moment? Do you think or do you think like me, she's doing it in haste a bit? Get in touch with us, let us know at Coastal News Pod online. Rue over there, then she's sticking to the syllabus for now.
She's got a purpose, Rue, hasn't she? She's come alive this week. Who knew that all she needed was a troublesome teenager to spy on, and then
I know.
a hobby, essentially, rather than sitting around in the diner ordering cake. Another coffee cake, please, Irene.
That's it. Well, she was scolded last week, so she's been behaving with her tutoring duties. You see,
Yeah.
Justin, wasn't happy with her basically spying on it. But I must have to say, she's still having a little chit chats with Leah, isn't she? At this point,
she's absolutely still spying on her. I think it's really like given her. Honestly, I think it's given her a new lease of life that she's got this little mini Rue
project.
Yeah.
I do think that I've enjoyed the scenes, I was going to say, with Leah and Rue together. Even though I've been a bit uncomfortable, the topic of conversation and, what she's doing probably isn't, completely ethical. But I've quite enjoyed their scenes, two of the old gang, working together. They don't often have too much dialogue, just the two of them.
Well, you
say
that, you say that, and you're absolutely right. But the last time these two had a lot of dialogue together was during the Heather storyline, which they haven't
common
mentioned.
Denominator.
They haven't mentioned that not that long ago they were dealing with another little psychopath in the Bay together that kidnapped them and drugged them and God knows what else. So,
well, it sounds like to me you're the only one comparing the two.
Am I? Am I?
I don't know, am I? Are you?
No, I mean, am I the only one that's saying, hang on a minute,
nobody.
Did we have a stalker 5 minutes ago that was
nobody
Heather?
in the Bay? Nobody in the Bay is.
No, that's what I mean. Why? This is why I'm having to sort of put my brain to one side and forget that, Justin knows that Leah was recently kidnapped by a crazy woman that was related to Marilyn. It's not that much of a stretch to believe that Ava's got it in her as well. We don't really know her. Leah's been kidnapped two or three times now, so she should know wrong when she sees one. Oh dear, I am having to go with it, but I'm like,
do you know what we need? We need a little line from Marilyn at one point where they're all discussing it in the diner. Like, Ava's missed him, blah blah blah. And we just need Marilyn to go. That reminds me, I must text Heather.
I need to go and visit Heather in the psych ward. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, Leah's talking to Rue, and she's saying, I promised I'd look after Theo, and I feel awful. He's had to leave the home. I mean, he's loving it over his girlfriends, who wouldn't, compared to your auntie's house.
Poor Theo. He's living at the band house, and Eden and Remy aren't even there, so it's just him and Kirby probably doing it in every room. I don't think he wants to go. He doesn't want to go home, does he?
You are not going to be in a rush to go back, are you? Psycho or no psycho. But Leah's really worried about it, and she summons Justin to the diner for another ticking off, which just explodes really, because Justin's not in the mood to be listening, is he, at this stage? He doesn't want to hear it. She's tried to speak to Theo as well to get him home, and according to Rue, my daughter is a brat. It just blows up, doesn't it? And he just storms out. So it really doesn't help matters at all. And we said last week the last thing that we want to watch really is Leah and Justin fighting. I wasn't in the mood for it. No. However, it didn't really get to that point. When you saw, I literally was like, my eyes rolling when I saw Leah with her bags packed.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, no.
Yeah.
Just in panic. I don't know what I'm doing here. I need you. Our family is hurting. You don't care. All that kind of thing. And I think she's right, though. When she explained herself and said, look, she sees me as the enemy. Ava, that is. She sees
Yeah.
Leah as the enemy. If you've got a chance of working this out, because this is all after she's been confronted with the photos,
Yes. Yeah.
if you've got a chance of working this out, I can't be here. And I thought, yeah, she's right. Clear off for a couple of days while he sorts her out, But support with a long arm, I would say. I've missed a big bit there. The photos.
Yes.
Snoopy Roo's been on the old Facebook and seen these pictures of Ava with his shirt on.
But this
seductive photos they've been described as.
This was because I can't remember who was talking to Rue, but somebody I think it might have been Irene and Leah were talking in the diner, and Rue was Rue was in the conversation, and Leah was explaining about this I Heart Theo account on Instagram, and Rue was like straight on there, wasn't she? And like looking it up, and then like, woo, I found the pictures. This is what I mean about Rue just needed something to do, because she's really leapt into this spying on Ava story. They need to give her something better, something meaty to do rather than just sitting around.
Well, they say it takes one to know one.
That's true. That's true. That is true. So she goes and tracks his account down, doesn't she? I Heart Theo. And Leah says, oh, I can't even bring myself to look at it. But Rue's seen the photo, and it's that one that we saw her taking in Theo's room, and Leo actually caught her, but she didn't realise that she caught her doing it. She's lying on Theo's bed. She's got Theo's shirt on. She's got it like hanging off the shoulder, hasn't she? And the caption, when your boyfriend wants you to wear his t-shirt or something, wasn't it?
Something like that. She's obviously showed Leah, and Leah's confronted. She says Justin needs to be confronted with this. So
it's evidence now. Yeah,
and that results in Leah sort of leaving to go and live with Rue and Marilyn over at Summer Bay House, whilst he needs to sort things out with her. So there's this sort of semi-ambush, I'm going to call it, of Ava when she gets home. Theo's been filled in because he's also since found out about these photographs through somebody else checking the account. Was it Kirby?
No, it was.
Checked it?
Do you remember Ava went round to the band house and just burst in the door with some biscuits? I've made biscuits, and they were like, "What the hell are you doing here? Like, why have you not locked your door, people? By the way, like, why are you letting people just stroll into your house? Still, nobody locks the door." There was a bikie gang bugging people recently. Don't know if you heard about that, but anyway. So Ava strolled into the house and was like, "I made biscuits." And then Kirby had to confront her, didn't she? Because she was being really rude about her and saying, like, you're not, Theo's the draw of the band. You're nothing. You're not even a good songwriter. Theo's the whole thing. And she's like, babe, let's go outside. And Theo will make her some tea. And she has that go at her, doesn't she, when she gets her outside and says, you need to step back. You're deluded. Nothing's going on here. And Ava's going, oh, I feel sorry for you. You can't even see what's happening in front of your own eyes. Ava storms off. And then when Ava's gone, she texted Kirby those photos of her, didn't she? And then Kirby's like, what the hell? This is in your room, Theo.
Yeah, that's right. She reacts by sending them directly to Kirby, doesn't she?
Yeah, to get her jealous. And then she watches them argue outside, but then she misses the bit where they actually, calm down, and she's happy at that point because she thinks they've broken up over these photos. And then Theo's in a panic, isn't he? Because he's like, what if Justin thinks this is true? What if Justin thinks I really am sleeping with his daughter, and that I did ask her to put the shirt on or whatever? So he's in a panic, going around there, isn't he, and saying, Justin, you need to believe me. I had nothing to do with the photos. I didn't even know about them.
Yeah, but she's at this point, she's saying all this stuff like, just stop pretending. He moved out because it was hard to act on his feelings.
Yeah.
Ava's language has switched here now.
She really believes what she's saying, doesn't she? Well, it comes across that way, that she really thinks that her and Theo are in this relationship and they're meant to be together, and he loves her as much as she loves him. I mean, she's completely deluded. Isn't it?
100%. She's even booking when they're not around, when Theo's not around, when Justin's not around, she's even booking surfing lessons for her
Yes.
boyfriend
Oh God.
and
Yeah.
talking. And I was at this point, I'm a bit like, surely she
Mm.
differentiates
Yeah.
that
Truth from
word
lie.
with what they have, surely.
Yeah.
But as the sort of episodes trundled on and this more scene after scene of this behaviour, I was thinking maybe not.
No, she's completely deluded, isn't she?
100%, 100%. She never turns up to said surfing lessons, actually. What was she doing? I can't remember now.
She was trashing the house, wasn't she? Because when this all came out, Theo was
That's it.
round at Justin's house, and he said, "You know, you need to believe me." And Justin said, "I do believe you. I know now. I've seen the evidence. We need to talk to it. I need your help." And they sit her down, don't they? And they say, "Look, this is not right. You're not together." And she goes, "Oh, you need to tell him." And Theo's like, "Tell him what?" And then she goes, "Look, we're in love." And you can see Justin's face then just drop, can't you? Because he's like, "Oh my God, she's
Yeah.
lost it. She's completely deluded." Sends her to a room and says, "Go away. You need to think about it." Next morning, he gets up and she's not there. But we've seen in the nighttime that
Yep.
she's broken into Kirby's house, trashed all of her lyrics in her
The
books, hasn't
crumbs
she?
on the keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of
Yeah.
that. And then she's gone AWOL, hasn't she? Because Justin's in the morning, he's banging on the door. "Ava, we need to talk. Sorry that things got, out of
Brecky's
hand."
ready. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's not there. And they don't know where she is at that point, do they? They just think that she's legged it.
Now she does catch up with them all, with
She
Theo at
sees
least.
Theo. Yeah. Because Theo's on the beach, isn't he? He's talking to Kirby on the phone because it sounds like Kirby stayed at Rose's house.
Yeah.
And Theo's talking to her and going, "Oh, I'm really sorry about her trashing your house and blah, blah, blah." And then he goes, "Oh, I can see her coming. I've got to go." And she just walks up to him as if nothing's happened, doesn't she? This is what I don't understand about Ava. Like everything that happens, everything that escalates, a minute later, she acts like it didn't happen.
This is the problem in her mind, though. Like, it's all completely acceptable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like everybody else
Yeah.
is
Acting
just
mad.
getting in the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you're right, she's gone up to him on, she's confronted him at the beach and she's basically like, "Hi, we can stop pretending now. Nobody else is here. Nobody can hear you." And you're just thinking,
Yeah.
I
Lost it.
have you heard yourself? Yeah.
Mm.
And Theo, that's Theo's reaction, and he has to spell it out nice and clear. Get
Mm.
this into your head.
Mm.
We are not an item. We will never be an item. I am not into you. How much more can I say it? Do you know what I mean? And then we've had this strange first person camera then the result, which I found slightly disorientating actually. But
I think it was
I
meant to
understand.
be, wasn't it? It
Yeah,
sounded like she
yeah,
was underwater, like her
yeah.
brain wasn't. It's like not calculating response.
Everything around us just noise. She's not
Yeah.
actually tuned in and listening, is she? That's what we're supposed to be
No.
taking. I understand what they were trying to get at, but I was a bit like, "Oh, I'm getting dizzy here." Probably sat too close to the telly. And then, so he's saying some things to her that she doesn't want to hear, basically. And she's not hearing, she's refusing to listen. She storms off and just, as luck would at it, there's someone in a VW camper van there. "Oi, get in. What you doing to her?" She, "Can I have a lift?" Jumps into this stranger's car and off she goes. So of course then there's absolute panic because Theo's seen her jump into a stranger's car. Stranger danger,
Stranger danger. Yeah, we talked about hitchhiking the other week with Flick doing it, didn't she? And we were like, why? Why would you do that? But have you noticed it's switched this week? So when Flick got that lift to Gary's house the other week, and I was going, what the hell? They just showed that so matter of fact that she just got this lift with some stranger and we just accept it. And this week, Ava's done it and everyone's gone mad.
I think
So
the difference is Ava's only 16.
it's still the same level of threat. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, yeah, the danger's still there, isn't it, regardless?
yeah, Flicks should know better. She's got a stepdad and a brother that are cops as well. Like, oh dear. But anyway, yeah, I get
Some
another
might
one.
say. Some might say, Sophie, though a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet.
Or they're a psycho with a shovel in the boot.
And you come to and they're burying you, they're digging your grave. No, that's your husband.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh dear.
Now, tonight's 5-star,
Mm.
the premiere of Blockbuster Week, Home and Away.
Ooh.
We've seen a bit more of Driver, and he seems all right. He seems solid. He's just helping a young girl get away from a guy who was screaming at her, and he's
Yeah.
sort of, I mean,
He
you
doesn't
can tell
seem
how
remotely
young she
interested
is.
in her. Yes.
No, but I mean,
yeah.
still a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's really weird. I mean, he does say, you know, what about your parents? Aren't they going to care about you? And she goes, oh no, I live with my dad, and he doesn't give a shit, basically, which is a lie. But this guy, thank God, doesn't seem in the least bit interested in her at all, does he? I mean, he lets her just sit in his van. He's like, she says something like, "Can I just hang out with you?" And he's like, yeah, I guess. Like, you got anything else to do? And then he just goes off for a surf and leaves her there, doesn't he? So he's not trying to hang out with her or make friends with her, or he's just like, yeah, you can hang about, I guess, and then just leaves her to it. So
yeah,
he's probably hoping that by the time he's been for a surf and come back to his van, that she's buggered off home. But obviously she's still there.
yeah. But I was thinking that's a bit irresponsible of him. You know, the phone was ringing.
Yeah.
You know, he could have. She was like off somewhere. He could have picked it up and been like, "Oh hi," you know.
I'd have answered it. I would.
Yeah, I would have. I'd have been like, you know, yeah, I'm with your daughter. She seems a bit upset. I'm just letting you know she's safe. She's fine. This is where we are. I won't let her know you're coming, but you know, you need to come and pick her up. Basically, you want to get rid of it, wouldn't you? He was a bit irresponsible, and of course, we see him putting something in the bin, and I'm like, oh, is that blood?
It was
like
ketchup. It was chips. It was a sausage sizzle or something, wasn't it?
And I'm like, he's washing his hands. Is there any blood? Blood. Look.
Ketchup, vinegar and ketchup, I reckon. Oh dear.
So they had me going for a minute.
It did look sinister, didn't it? Because at this point, her phone was on the passenger seat, and we see him dumping something in a bin, and we're like, "Where is she?"
I thought, oh gosh, she's lost it. She's at least lost a foot here. I thought, oh my god, he scalped her. It's in the carrier bag.
Oh god.
No, it was just his lunch.
It was his burger from Salt.
Now,
whatever.
She's chilling out in the back of the van. He's gone for a surf. Very strange, if you ask me. Like you say, could have answered the phone and had it all solved, but that wouldn't have meant we had the drama that we got then. Because Theo and Kirby have realised that if they unblock the I Heart Theo, account and send it a message, a bit of an olive branch, they might be able to, you know, talk her into, you know, coming back or letting them know where she is. And it doesn't take, like, she responds right away. She takes the bait, doesn't she? Doesn't take long for her to reply. Now her reply had me shooketh to the core. So she basically replies saying, "Help! I'm in trouble. What was it? Help me! You know, I'm in trouble. Come to me quick." Basically,
something like, "I'm in danger. He won't let me go," or something.
Yeah,
was it? Like he won't let me get out the car or something.
Making out that she's being held against her will, and she's you know, absolutely, you know, feared for her life. So of course they're absolutely in hysterics, aren't they? At this news, he tells Justin. Justin goes ballistic. She sends a map, dropped a pin. Justin doesn't know what it is. What's this mean?
To be fair, I was thinking about you the other day. You know when you said to me when we were in London, you were like, "Send me a location," and I was like, "How? Like, how do I do that?" I'm such an old lady.
I'm like, press the paper clip.
So bad. So I did feel for him because I was like, yeah, well, I wouldn't know that either.
He learns fast because he jumps in the car and he's right there before you know it. And he jumps out of the car and then, like, Red Miss Justin just beats this fella to a pulp. This fella's been nothing but nice.
Yeah.
She's made the whole thing up.
He didn't even know it was the right guy, did he?
No.
It could have been anybody.
Also, I'm really, really let down by Justin here. He knows at this stage
She's a
what she's
liar.
like, what
Yeah.
she's capable of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the first thing I would do is be like, are you okay? What's going on? Second thing I would do was, how dare you get in a car? Where's this man? I need to speak to him. You know, not get out of that van now. Where is it? Punch him. Like,
No.
I can't defend it. Just
No.
can't defend it.
It's indefensible. Justin, for me, has been his personality. We know he can be like this, but his personality since Ava went missing, you know, I think I made a joke on the pod Twitter account earlier that, you know, he's alphing it. Like, his rage levels were on par with Mr. Stewart, when Mr. Stewart has a temper. And we know that Justin gets stressed, and he, you know, when he was coming off his painkillers, we saw a nasty side to Justin, didn't we? When he was going through all the withdrawal and that addictive withdrawal cycle that he was going through, we saw that he could get a bit nasty then. And I kind of forgot about that side of Justin, and I think we've seen it again tonight, and I don't like
Yeah,
it.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't sit well at all, does it?
No, it's really out of contrast with what he's like normally, because normally he's so chill, isn't he? I mean, when Ava turned up and he wasn't hearing a word of it when Leah was trying to tell him everything, and he was like, oh no, you know, he was just being dead chill about it. Like, they were saying, your daughter's a bratty little psycho, and he was like, nah, she's fine, you know, dead chill. And now today he's gone absolutely mad, hasn't he? So it's
the red mist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not a very good character trait at all.
No.
He's been around a while in the Bay as well. He's become one of the sort of linchpins for me.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the more established characters. He's married to Leah, of all people. Like, of Missy right and wrong. You know, how is this going to go down? Leah can't have her husband, her partner, going around beating blokes up without knowing the full story.
No, it's not good, is it?
Yeah, and this is obviously going to dominate, I think, quite a fair chunk of Blockbuster Week next week. You know, we saw a quick trailer at the end there where Justin is you know, received.
Been arrested, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm trying to choose my words carefully there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm spoiling it. Spoiler alert.
So, you know, that's going to dominate, I think, quite a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Leah's reaction to that will be. I don't think she's going to be best pleased.
No, I mean, you wouldn't be, would you? I mean, think about it. Justin's supposed to be like an upstanding member of the community. He's got his own business. Leah's got her own business. This is going to have an impact on their reputation. It's a small town. Word's going to get out that he's a violent, you know, person that goes around bashing people for no reason. I don't think it's going to do them any good, either of them. I think both of them are going to be tarnished by this. Not good. Nope,
completely. Can't wait to see it.
I know. And is Ava going to be just, you know, fine within 5 minutes? Oh, it's his fault. You know, is she going to be, you know, because she's literally just shirking everything that comes her way. Like, oh, yeah, whatever, big deal, blah, blah, blah. She just skips
really good
on.
Point. She's caused it, really. I mean, you know, we can't attribute Justin's actions to her, really, because at the end of the day, he chose to jump out of the car and beat this guy.
Yeah.
But
it's
a
chain reaction.
And
she started the chain. Yeah. She's got to take some responsibility for what she's been doing to Theo, to Kirby, to her dad. You know, the fact that she's lied again and it's caused this drama. If she doesn't have any remorse after this, then Jesus, what are they going to do with this story? What are they going to do with her? And
also, she drove her dad to this point. Like, I think, you know, her mum needs to be back, I think. Yes. You know, you can see why she's butting heads with her mum if this is what she's like, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what your feelings on this is, but I don't know where we go with Ava from here. Because they've totally, I think, for lack of a better word, character assassinated her.
Yeah.
And and the story has become more important than Ava, the person. You know, telling this crazy, because it's so exaggerated, isn't it? It is like a Channel 5 afternoon stalker film, that it's so over the top. Even for a soap, this is exaggerated, I think, because she so believes what she's saying. It's mental
Yeah.
health, isn't it? It's
Yeah. Really good point there. Like, have we scuppered Ava? Yeah. Yeah.
how does she come back from this? I mean, is she gonna have to go off to a psych ward with Heather for the rest of her life, or I don't know? Because a
Or will
part
she
of me
just go
last
back
week
to her mum's and like,
just be normal again, because part of me was thinking, is she doing all this stuff with Theo to get back at Justin? Because is it a cry for attention? You know, because she did say not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, you know, you weren't around when I was a kid, you didn't bring me up. I mean, Justin didn't have a choice, he was in witness protection, but still that's going to sting her, you know, the fact that she didn't get that childhood with her dad. That's going to bother her.
yeah.
But I don't think this is a cry for help, for attention, for Justin's love. It's gone way beyond that now, hasn't it?
And I'm also asking, at what point did this all start for her? Because we've seen Ava before, and she
Yeah.
was quite a nice child.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, she was.
none of the upbringing that you've just mentioned about, you know, having no dad around and stuff seemed to have.
Yes.
I
Affected her that
mean,
badly. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we did. Even to the point where she wasn't misbehaving,
No.
really. Last time she was about, like, what's happened? Is there more that we need to know as to how she's ended up being like this? Like, I don't know. Is there something at home with mum? All we know at the moment is they've not got on and they've had a falling out. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It's for me, it's a bit of a leap from the Ava that we knew before
Yeah.
to this mad one, you know.
Yeah.
And I
It
don't
is.
say that flippantly.
No, it's like a psychotic break, isn't it? It's like, how can you go from being a normal kid to overnight being so deluded, so dangerously, you know, don't know, manipulative, and it's a lot. It's a lot, isn't it? Even for a
And
soap,
I
this feels like a
suppose
lot.
it does. And I suppose that's where the similarities might come in um with Heather's storyline. You know, do you remember Heather was brought up by a mum that didn't want her?
Yes.
You know, and she built for years this hatred, you know, and it just manifested itself in the way it did, in this murderous way. Mum in the freezer.
Yeah.
So that line, you and I seem to have stuck with it. You know, that line where she lashed out at him about not being around. Is that a big clue? Me and you
Yeah.
seem to have picked up on it, or you and I have picked up on it, should I say? You
Yeah.
know, is that actually a clue? Are we right to pick up on that? Because she's like she is for a reason.
It's got to be, hasn't there? You don't just turn like this overnight. And like you say, there's no indication of any trouble before now. So has something happened with her mum? Has her mum got a new boyfriend? Has she been, you know, neglecting her? Has something happened at school or college
Yeah.
that she's
Is
trying
there,
to block out? Because she's gone into
yeah.
fantasy land because something awful's happened. So she's had to create this fantasy world where she feels safe. My
And
brain's gone into overdrive.
and what's her mum's behaviour like? You know,
Yeah.
like she's normalised a lot of this stuff. She thinks that she's you know, boyfriends with somebody. You know, it's singing to me only. You know, at some point she learned this is normal. So I don't know. I don't know. Odd.
Very odd.
I hope it gets explained and it's not just she's packed back off to the city.
It will be, won't it? She'll just be back with her mom, and we'll hear about her in 10 years' time when she's got a job or she needs some money or something.
Gabe, he's looking crook as Rookwood after that chemo round one.
Sorry, shouldn't laugh, but at least we know he's ill now, because we were so suspicious, weren't we, that he wasn't even
No,
poorly.
think me more so. I was trying to talk you around, wasn't I? I was twisting your arm. Max fussing over him, tea and soup. Are you comfortable? Blah, blah, blah. He can't stomach anything. He just wants her to sit down with him, and they do, she's word sick, isn't she? She looks worse than he does, I think, at some point. He even says the line to her, this is what chemo looks like. It sucks,
Yeah.
ends up apologizing to her. You don't need, I'm putting you through all this, blah, 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 blah. Bit of a tough time over at the farmhouse there. I still think it's really, really strange that he's going through chemo without his family, just his
It
ex
is.
in a different
And did
state.
you notice what she said to him? When she said, "Oh, how did you cope the first time on your own?" Because she obviously we keep hearing that she's been helping him,
Yeah,
staying up in the night, bringing him food, making sure he's okay, watching him being sick. We hear all these stories, don't we, about how much she's looking after him. And she does say to him, "How did you cope the first time with this when you're on your own?" And he goes, "Well, I just had to." So his family weren't around the first time either.
yeah, yeah. Where's the family? Have we missed something there,
I
or
feel like
is
I have,
he
yeah.
going through all these bouts of cancer on his own? It is sad, really. That.
It is sad, but it's also like, how come he's got no friends, no family? And I've just got this underlying feeling about him just being a wrong un. And I'm like, maybe he is just an awful person and nobody wants to be around him, even when he is really ill. I don't know. I can't let go of this feeling that I just don't like him.
Or is it just a guest character that hasn't been fleshed out?
It could be that it feels very rough. I mean, everyone's
Mm.
talk. I will talk about this on Your Say in the Bay later, but everyone's saying, what is this story about? Like, why? Why have we got this?
There was a moment that it did touch me a little bit. Where he goes off to be sick. This doesn't sound very touching. He goes off to be sick and he catches her crying when she thinks he's out of the room.
Yeah.
There was things like that, and I felt a bit my sympathy and my empathy and all that stuff, feelings towards it all goes to Mac though. Doesn't go to him, and he's the
No,
one suffering. We don't know the guy, let's face it.
I can't feel
Yeah,
sorry for him when I don't know anything about him and he doesn't seem
yeah.
very nice. I don't know.
We do know one thing, he's got a dry mouth.
He has.
And after his nap, he says he feels better, but he needs some gelato for his dry mouth. So you just knew what was happening here, didn't you?
Yeah,
Clearing her off out of the way. By the way, she
that
can just go.
goodbye.
Yeah, she can just go for just nipping for gelato, and she lives on the farm. We know it's a trek to the bay
Yeah,
from there.
and we know that gelato is going to be liquid by the time it's back, isn't it? It's going to be
hmm
horrible.
hmm
Warm, liquid, beautiful. Yeah, it was that. It was that goodbye. When she said, "Oh, we're back in a minute," and he goes, "I love you. I'll miss you."
Yeah,
And I was like, "This
yeah.
is not someone saying goodbye to someone who's going to the shop for 20 minutes. This is a
No,
goodbye forever goodbye, isn't it?"
yep. Coward.
Yeah.
She didn't spot that though, did she? So off
No.
she toddles and comes home with the gelato, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Note on the table, not answering his phone. She's absolutely heartbroken, isn't she? I can't believe this is happening again to Mackenzie. I really can't. Well, I can and I can't.
I can, because we've been saying for weeks, don't take him back. Don't go there. We've been
Mhm.
we've been saying this is on the cards for weeks. No, I didn't realise that he'd get cancer and dump her like this, but I never saw him sticking around from day one that he was in the bay.
Actually,
He's,
to be fair, I'd rather this than her have to watch him die slowly, I
yeah.
suppose.
Well, that's obviously his thought as well, isn't it? He wants to go because he thinks he's going to spare her. He's seen her cry once, one day of
Yeah,
chemotherapy. She got
and he
upset
can't do it.
and he
Yeah.
can't cope with it and he's gone. And in his mind, he's doing her a favour, isn't he? But he doesn't realise that he's, leaving her broken again. How do you do that to someone you love? I don't get that.
Oh, dear. This is why he should have been upfront about the cancer right from the beginning, and he should
Yeah.
have really until if he was, mind you, he must. I don't know, because I've never been in cancer admission, so I don't know. Can you just put your life on hold until you get the all clear? Do you know what I mean? I suppose you can't really, but
No.
he should have been upfront about it. I don't think he would have stopped her feelings though.
No.
But he tried so hard. I'm just a bit like, that was unfair. You've come back. She even says it herself, because Marley's comforting her, isn't he? He's come round, realised something's wrong on the phone, and he's come right over.
That
and to
was
be
nice.
fair, yeah, but he did promise Dean he would, to be fair, when Dean left.
He did, but he didn't have to actually do it. And he was out with his mate, wasn't he? I thought this was really nice, actually, because he was out in Salt with Xander. It looked like they'd got plans. And he suddenly thought, oh, where's Mac? She's not at work. I'll give her a call. She goes, yeah, I'm fine, and puts the phone down on him, doesn't she? He, at that point, like Remy would just be like, yeah, she said she's fine, and just carry on with his night. But Marley goes, no, there's something wrong here. And he goes around and sees it. And we needed that, because we've been talking about that gap, that hole that Dean has left by leaving, and the fact that Mac is now on her own. We needed someone to step in and take up that that sort of, not responsibility, but that sort of shoulder to lean on, really.
Well, it would have been Dean, wouldn't it? Or Dean and Ziggy.
It would. But Marley's having to fill that gap that they've left behind, essentially.
He is.
I think, I think that's good. I think I really liked that scene. The fact that he turned up and was like, no, I know there's something wrong.
Yeah, me too, and good on him for doing it. It's a
I don't
nice
think everybody would. Like I say, I don't think Remy, as much as I love Remy would have gone, oh, you're all right, okay, catch you later, and carried on his night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He even falls asleep on the sofa.
He does.
Cooks her breakfast the next day, but she's off skis. Now, not in a sad way. She's like, I need to get out of here just for a bit. Last time I sat around, not now. So that defiant, I don't need a man, Max, come back.
I'm glad about that, because I was really worried we were going to go down the depression route, the Ari route. When she really went off the rails with the drinking, and another flick. You know what I mean? Like, we've just come off the back of a flick. Drinking drama, and I thought we're going to have that with Mac, and I wasn't looking forward to it, I'll be honest. So for her to dust herself, one day of crying, and then she dusts herself off and says, I've done this before, I'm not wasting any more time on that man, I'm just going to get on with my life. And I thought, good for you. Like, not an easy thing to do that. You easily could have wallowed in it for weeks. So I'm glad she didn't.
Yeah, no, me too, 100%. And I felt that was a right response. I thought she was going to go sort of, woe is me, self-pity, I've let him in, I'm an idiot. And I thought, no, take a minute, have a breather. It's sad and it's fresh. Come back a couple of days, refreshed, and, she's going to be wondering what's going on with him. It's going to be in the back of her mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We'll see when she returns how much that bubbles up, I suppose. But I felt like, come on, you can do this, you got this. He's only been back a few weeks, he's done this to you before. The way she was talking with Marley as well, she was feeling a bit silly, I think. I've let him in again, and he's left me a note again. And it'll be interesting to see if this affects her approach to dating in future.
I hope so.
Whether it knocks her trust a bit, whether she
don't
puts
want it
the
to knock
walls
her,
up.
Yeah, I don't want her to be completely traumatized by it, but I would like to see her not be a doormat for another man, and not just take on another project or broken man, that just walks all over and leaves her for, Ari left her for Mia, devastated her. Gabe's left her twice now, and left her with a note. She was saying to him, like, oh, last time he took 50 grand off my dad and left a note. This time he's left me a note. She was saying it like it was, she was trying to half laugh about it with Marley, but she's right. She needs to realise now that she lets people in too easily, and that's a positive and a negative for her, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she's the one that gets hurt, so.
So let's see if she comes back and let's see if she's got them walls up. Hey. We must briefly talk about John's back in town and he's a little upset, isn't he?
Yeah.
Dean and Ziggy have just left a catch you later on the whiteboard. What do you
Catch you
think
later,
about
John. Oh, this broke my heart. I'm going to admit to this. I did have a little bit of a moment earlier where I thought I was going to cry. I'm feeling a little bit hormonal. And when it was, obviously we'd seen him raging, hadn't we? He'd come back, he was raging at Marley, these are a health hazard. Move them out of the way, these surfboards that you've got in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Where's your paper?
I don't know why he seems to be in a bit of a mood before he finds out that Dean and Ziggy have gone. I don't know whether you picked up on that as well, but I felt he was already a little bit ticked off.
Oh no, I didn't notice that. Do you think?
Yeah, because he immediately started having a go at Marley and saying, "Oh, we need to move these boxes," and then he went, "Oh, I'm going to have a word with Dean." And then Marley went, "Dean's not here." So I thought, oh, he's already in a bit of a shitty mood, even though he doesn't know Dean's gone yet. So I was thinking, what happened in the city when he went to see Jet? Has something happened that's ticked him off there? Or I don't know. I got the feeling that he was already in a bit of a mardy, and maybe this has been exaggerated by.
Well, he said, didn't he, that Jet's all loved up, so maybe he's feeling a bit sensitive about Jet, growing up and not needing his dad as much. I don't know.
Yeah, could be something like that. I don't know. I'm wondering whether that might play into next week, or whether we'll just forget about it entirely, which I think is probably more likely. So I did still see that, and then obviously he finds out Dean's gone, and then he's fuming, isn't he? He's in a proper stinking mood, and Marley's going off to people and saying, "Oh, John's not very happy," and Marilyn says, "Oh, give him some boundaries." So I think Marley goes over to talk to John and say, "Look, we need to clear the air." And John's just in his office staring at the whiteboard, isn't he, with that note on saying, "Catch you later." Yeah. And he's like, "I was there when their baby was born. I was there when Karen met Jai. I've worked with the guy for years. I see him every day. I talk to him all the time. Spend loads of time with him. And this is what I get." That almost got me. I was like, "Oh, John."
He's right.
Because I did say, didn't I? Last week, I think it was. I said to you, didn't I? Where was John?
Yeah,
When they were saying goodbye and they were in the car and they were waving them off, and Irene and Justin and Mac and everyone else was there. Marley was there. He's been here for 5 minutes and Marley was there. No, John. But obviously, we didn't know last week because either we missed it or it wasn't explained before this week. We didn't know that John was in the city visiting Jet. Well, at least I didn't.
No, we seem to have missed that if it was on screen.
Yeah,
and we were saying off air, it's unusual for us both to miss something. So has it just been explained after the fact?
Yes.
But yeah, it was a sad moment. And
it nearly got me.
John's really good at making you feel sorry for him.
I know.
Yeah. Even when
he's such a clown, isn't he? Normally, he's always joking and he's always like the dad jokes, isn't he? And oh God, you have to kind of grin and bear it sometimes. But I love him. And when he's sad, like he wasn't angry at this point, was he? When he was angry, I was like, oh God, here we go. But when he was sat, when he was staring at that whiteboard and saying, "This is it," after years of friendship, all the stuff, all the memories, looking after Karen meeting Jai, being there for the baby, all of that stuff, and this is what I get, and it really pulled on my heartstring. I was like, "Oh,
me
John."
too. That had been my response. I even felt sorry for John when he was an arsonist. I was like, "Oh, he's got a brain tumor." Bless.
I know. I loved John the Hoodie. John the Hoodie was the best. John, loved him. I know he was like terminally ill or whatever at that point, but I loved him. Now, you've just listened to a lot of our opinions about all the things that are going on in the Bay at the moment. So God bless you for making it this far into the episode for a start. But we're now going to look at what you guys think. So this segment of the pod is called Your Say on the Bay. And the reason we've called it that is because we have a look at what you think. We look at your tweets, we look at your reactions on social media. And then now we're going to go through a few of them and share those comments with you all. But just before we do that, just a reminder that we are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and our account is at Coastal News Pod. We've got a Facebook page as well now, haven't we? We're everywhere.
yeah.
We're on Facebook as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So come and find us. Type Coastal News podcast into Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and you'll find us at Coastal News Pod. Like, subscribe, follow us, poke us. Can you still do that? Can you still poke people on Facebook? I don't know. I'm probably showing my age. I think I'm showing my age. I'm showing myself off now. But yeah, subscribe, follow, do whatever you like. Come and find us. We are there. We do watch the show on 5-star. I keep saying my 5 when I mean 5-star, so I'm going to make sure I say 5-star. We watch the show on 5-star. We watch at 6:30 p.m. So we keep up with that pace, and we usually tweet along with the episodes using the hashtag Home and Away on Twitter. So if you want to join in the conversation and see us tweeting online, we've got a few regulars that we chat to on Twitter that join in the conversation as well. In fact, I'm going to do a quick name drop. And so let's do a shout out to some of our regular tweeters. So let's say hello to David, Julie, Chad, Sarah, Farney, Jamie, Alison, Michelle, Katie, Christine, Bluebell Ivy, Joe Lauren, Marty, and anyone else that I've forgotten in this list. Because we love hearing from you. We love talking about home and away, don't we? And we love having a chat on Twitter.
Absolutely.
So get involved. There's a nice little community on there that talk on the hashtag. So, don't be shy. But if you're not on social media, we also have an email account, which we gave you at the beginning of this episode because we reminded you that we have got a very exciting Diggy competition to win a autographed signed photo signed by Sophie Dillman and Patrick O'Connor when we met them. Was it 2 weeks ago we met them? Yeah, we met them 2 weeks ago in London, and they signed a photo for us, and we're giving that away. So if you want to win that, go back to the beginning of this episode and listen to the question and email us your answer. But if you also want to email us anything that we want to talk about in your say on the bay, it's coastalnewspod@gmail.com. Gosh, that was a lot of preamble. I'm exhausted before we even started the segment. So thank you for listening to all of that. But we do really appreciate you guys listening and keeping in touch and talking to us.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's get on with your say on the bay. So as you can probably imagine, there's been a lot of comments on social media this week because there's been quite a lot going on in the bay this week. Yeah, there's 2 storylines in particular that people have been talking about. You can probably guess which ones. I don't know whether you can guess, Si, which ones people have got.
Cray Ava.
Yes.
And will it be Gabe's cancer?
Yes, yeah, Mac and Gabe. So I've got Mac and Gabe, and I've got Ava the Stalker as our topics of conversation. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on. These are the ones that most people have been talking about. Obviously, there's been other things going on as well, but I guess the sort of the most opinionated comments have come about these 2 storylines. You can guess why, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've just spent an hour sharing ours, so
exactly.
I can only imagine.
Let's see what everyone else thinks, because they may disagree with us. We don't know yet. So let's start with Mac and Gabe. Now, obviously, looking on social media, there's been loads of comments sympathising with Mac. A lot of Paul Mac. Mac deserves better. Can't believe they've done this to her, etc. That was obviously going to happen. That's echoing a lot of thoughts, really. But one comment that I thought I saw on Facebook from Lorraine, and I thought this comment was good because it kind of summed up exactly how a lot of people are feeling in one comment. And Lorraine said, "I'm an emotional wreck." Yes. Join the group, Lorraine. But then she put, "What absolutely brilliant acting from Emily. There are times that I could forget that home and away isn't real life." I think we can relate to that, can't we? There's definitely times when I've been ranting about Gabe being a douchebag, and I've got, it's not real, don't you? And I'm like, I know, but I'm angry. I'm angry. I hate him.
I think we touched on it last week, didn't we? And I was like, we talk about this thing like it's real. But no, that's it's right. When you're so invested, you're sort of going through these motions with these people. Do you know one thing? It's funny that is it Lorraine? Is it
Lorraine
that says that about Emily? Because there's one thing Emily's really good at is getting you there with her. with the really sad stuff. Maybe
She's
that's
really
why.
good at that. I think that's why they give her
Yeah.
these stories, because she was brilliant with when she lost the baby, when she was with, broken up from Ari, and she just lost the plot, didn't she? Went on a real downward spiral, drinking and everything. A bit similar to the Flick storyline, but I was way more sympathetic with Mac than I was with Flick when she went.
She's got
through
this
it.
talent. Yeah, she's got this talent to really get you to touch, to tune in with her character, and it looks effortless. I'm sure it isn't.
No,
it looks effortless.
She's really good. I wonder whether that's because a lot of the stuff, I was going to say this, a lot of the comments on social media are why did we have this storyline? What was the point of this? I think it was Sarah on Twitter. She said something like, I can relate to it, but what's the point of the Gabe storyline? Why did actually this made me laugh. So she put, why did the scumbag bother coming back at all? Total non-story. So she's saying it's a total non-story. Why did he come back? Why did he crawl back out of his hole and just come back to basically break her heart again? We didn't need this. But maybe it is because of what Lorraine says. Emily's so good. Yeah,
and a valid question, because in the story we've all been trying to find the answer to that question. Yeah. Oh, he's after money. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he wants the restaurant. We've all been trying to find an answer. Because just to come back and then die on somebody isn't.
It seems really weird.
I'm pretty sure that goes against some sort of etiquette.
It does a bit, doesn't it? It's not good form as a person.
No.
Karen on Facebook actually said, we've done this storyline with Rue. We've done this one with Rue. And I thought, actually, Karen's got a point. It's not quite the same as the Rue storyline, but if we cast our minds back to Romeo and Indy, Romeo got diagnosed with, was it melanoma or something? And then he left Indy a note saying he was leaving her and disappeared off into the sunset on the back of a motorbike. But I don't think he actually told Indy that he'd got cancer when he left. I think she found out later when he died, and she got his ashes, didn't she, sent back to her. So I think, although, because what Karen's referring to is when Rue was going out with Ryder's dad, Evan, a few years ago. Yeah. And Twin Gate. Oh God. Evan got cancer, I think, didn't he? Was it cancer? I think it was, wasn't it? When he was terminally ill, wasn't he? And he knew that was it. And Rue had feelings for him, but he didn't. He left the show, but she went with him at that point. So he didn't go off on his own and die. She went with. Do you know what? They actually went to Brisbane. When I said the other week that when people go to Brisbane, they don't come back. So Gabe's gone off to Brisbane to die. And Evan went off to Brisbane to die. But at that storyline, Rue actually went with him, and she sat with him, until the end. And then she came back to the Bay when he passed away and told Ryder. And she told him all those stories about how she sat with him and what happened at the end and everything. So it's similar to the Rue storyline, but Rue wasn't left on her own. It's more similar to the Romeo one.
Yeah, you've got a point there. And Indy was left behind, distraught. We were invested in them as a couple, though. They've been together, married for years. Yeah. This just doesn't sit the same. No. In my opinion.
No. I had more sympathy for Indy, especially because Indy didn't know. Romeo left a note, but he didn't actually tell Indy that he'd got cancer and that's why he was leaving her. That's why it feels different.
You could sort of, in some warped way, see what he was trying to do.
Yes.
And I know Gabe's intentions are similar, but you'd have been better off not coming at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gotta be honest.
So annoyed that he chased her so hard for this to happen.
Yes.
And I'm obviously at the time he didn't intend this to happen, did he? But
no. But the writers have done this for a reason.
I know, but Mac, you see, is more optimistic than he is. Mac's like, chemo, fight it. He's given up already. And he seems a bit pessimistic about his fate. That's what always brings me back to the doubt about his story. Matt's not gone to any appointments.
Well, this
He
actually,
seems sure. He
yeah,
seems sure that he's going to perish.
yes. Well, I think, well, this is the one that everyone's talking about. So Jamie on Twitter, we've been talking for ages, haven't we, about how we haven't seen anything. And Jamie echoes one of our comments that we made recently, because Jamie says it's really odd that we haven't seen any scenes with Gabe in the hospital, because we usually have, you know, any excuse and we're at the hospital, you know, someone's tripped over and banged their head, they're at the hospital. Someone's got hit by a Gabe got hit by a surfboard at the hospital.
Yeah.
He's got cancer, and we've not seen him at the hospital. We've heard about him going to these appointments. We've heard that he's been going for tests. We've heard that he's gone for chemo. We've not seen any of it. I was wondering whether we're not seeing it on purpose, because perhaps, you know, when we watch these soaps, we want escapism. We don't really want to be bogged down in day-to-day life and reminded of things that, you know, are going on in our lives. And unfortunately, cancer is one of those things that affects pretty much everybody in some way, whether it's you or whether it's a family member or a friend. Maybe they don't want to show these scenes because it'd be triggering. But even if we don't see him having chemo, we just needed him to see him arrive at the hospital with Mac, or leave the hospital with Mac. You know, we don't even need to see him with a doctor. We just need to see that he's been to hospital. I think we would have been satisfied with that, wouldn't we? I don't know. I needed to see something.
I don't trust the fella. Right, do you want to hear my theory? Good theory. Do you want to hear mine?
Go for it.
He's come back to town on some big scam, right? I still can't get past it. He's come back to town on some big scam. I think he has had cancer before. He's in remission, and perhaps, you know, I don't know how it works, but perhaps something's flagged on them tests when he got it over the head, and that's why. Because that's the only time we've seen him getting any medical help, right? Any professional medical help. For me, it's a bit odd that she's not even allowed to go to an appointment with him. He brushes her off. Doesn't come back. There was a whole deal made for about half an episode about him being late back from the hospital and not been in touch with her.
Yes.
Like, did we even need that scene if he was genuinely at the hospital? And then I'm thinking maybe he has started to realise that she's caught proper feels again. He's chickened out of the scam. So he said that he's ill again and he needs to go. And that's why he sort of pulled a sickie and ran early doors.
Maybe. He does look genuinely ill when we see him in the house, though, doesn't he? To me, I was fooled by it.
He did look crook, but you know, he's a professional con man, so you know he's good at this.
He got one backhander from her dad, and we're never getting past it.
That's my theory. I think she's going to find out off screen that he was here for some dollar.
We'll have to see. Well, there's all kinds of stories going on, all kinds of theories.
I bet there is, because it's been so strange.
It has. There are some people that are seeing Gabe's point of view, as much as we don't want to admit to Gabe's point of view and being empathetic with him. There are some people that do see it. So David on Twitter said, you know, in Gabe's mind, he is trying to protect Mac, but the damage is done. So David is a bit more empathetic than we are with Gabe, you know, that Gabe is trying to do the right thing, and at least the right thing that he thinks is the right thing. But Jan on Twitter, she's quite adamant that it's you know, I'll just read the comment. So Jan on Twitter said, once again, everything is about Mac, not one thought on how he feels and why he did it. So I think Jan is a Gabe fan, to be honest. From that.
That's a very interesting take, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I love to see what other people think about it, because you and me, we have not liked this guy from day one. You know, we've not given. So maybe because we've not liked him at all, he's never redeemed himself. Maybe our outlook is a bit more harsh than other people's. I don't know.
Has she got a point, Jan? He's the cancer patient.
Yeah.
Not Mag. You know what I mean? He's the one facing potential death.
Yeah.
You know, which is a scary. No, he's not. He's a con man. Anyway.
got you then. Jan.
He's chicken down.
Jan, we almost got him. We almost turned his mind round.
Scrap that.
Oh no, he's back on it. Con man. Okay, well, we're just gonna have to see how it plays out because, like you say, he's gone. So is he going to die off screen and we're going to hear that he's dead? Are you going to believe that if he dies off screen? You're probably not going to believe that, are you? By the sounds of it. No.
There's one thing I will be sure of though, is that Mac probably won't ever eat gelato again.
No. To be fair, it's put me off gelato for life. So sorry, JP, no gelato in this house. Yeah. Right. Well, that was Mac and Gabe. What about Ava? Psycho stalker. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Yeah, go on. What are people
Fava beans and Chianti. Oh, she's a stalker. Anyway, we knew that, didn't we? So we talked about Ava a couple of weeks ago on Your Say on the Bay, and I feel really premature for bringing her up then. But we talked about it was when Bella came back. And Ava just turned up in the bay, and there was loads of comments on social media about these two. And I likened them to Marmite, didn't I? Because you either love them or hate them. That was certainly the inference that I got from the comments that we were seeing. Oh, sorry, not Marmite, Vegemite. If you're Aussie, obviously, got to be inclusive here. So we've already discussed Ava a couple of weeks ago, but obviously this week, the tweets, the social media has been buzzing with Ava opinions, obviously. So I had a look on Twitter. Just Jen on Twitter has written something that I think sums up a lot of the comments in 2 sentences. So I'll give you the two. I'll give you
managed it.
Sentence 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else watching Ava on Home and Away want to slap this bitch? That's sentence 1. And sentence 2. She's a great actor, though. And that literally sums up every comment that I found on social media. So most people are saying, oh my God, what a little cow, I could just punch the television. And then lots of other people saying, yeah, but we're supposed to hate her. What a great job she's doing. What a good actress. So Jen got both in one tweet, which is brilliant. I thought, yes, well done.
She's right, isn't she? Ava does need... Maybe that's what's wrong with Ava. We were saying in the podcast, what is it about Ava? What's made her this way? Maybe she's not had enough backhanders in her life. That is not
discipline.
Just put that on record. I do not condone it. I do not support it.
We'll get Esther Rand.
Just a joke. Just a joke. Just a joke.
Don't listen to him, Esther. We don't tolerate child abuse on the podcast. She might never have heard the word no, though. She might have been pandered to a little bit and a bit spoiled. We don't know.
Especially dad in witness protection.
Yeah.
People overcompensate, don't they? And then, how well is the actress playing it? I mean. Phenomenal, really, because she's whipping us all up.
Exactly. A lot of people saying this as well. So Mark on Facebook says, I don't like Ava, the character, but the actress is playing her really well. Julie on Twitter, she echoes the same sentiments as Mark, really, saying she's playing a good part and we don't like her. That's evidence that she's playing a good part. Sally on Facebook says people are hating Ava, but it's testament to the huge talent of the young lady who's playing her.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be siding with Ava, are we? We're supposed to be infuriated by her.
Yeah, and people are infuriated by her because Liz on Facebook says Ava has to go. I don't like her. And then Stuart said, Stuart's not mincing his words actually. Stuart says, what planet is she on? What a freak. She needs help. There's some people really not liking this character, not empathizing with her at all. There is a couple more slightly more sympathetic people on Facebook. So I think it was Anne. Anne said, let's hope Ava gets the help that she needs. And I think that sort of brings it back down to earth. And this is a 16-year-old girl, isn't it, that she's playing?
Yeah.
So
who needs help? Yeah,
she
absolutely.
needs help. There's probably some, she's not, we're not writing her off completely yet. There is some hope for this girl to turn things around. What on earth that looks like, I've got no idea. And Sharon on Facebook, she's reminded us that, they've really changed her character. She said that this is a massive turnaround in her character, and they've made her into trouble. I think that's what Irene said this week. this girl's trouble.
And we touched on that, didn't we?
Yeah.
During the episode discussion.
Yeah.
She was this sweet young girl,
Mm.
and now what has happened to her that's made her like this? It's really puzzling because she's a completely different girl.
Yes. Yeah.
It is worrying, really, because it's got to be something.
It's got to be a reason for it. It's got to be.
Yeah, but it's got to be something quite troubling for us for us to believe it, really, for us to get, for us to accept it as the reason. It needs to be something, and I have a feeling it's going to be something a little quite sad,
Yes.
and where we've left now, it's ended up with Justin, in deep water now going into next week. And I don't know, when you think about it, her role model, her dad, what he's capable of right in front of her.
That's the point. Yeah, it's not a good example for her, is it? Seeing her dad beating some guy up. Oh, yeah, I haven't thought about that. He's not really showing his true. Well, he's showing his true colours. We're not showing his best side.
No.
This is how you. It's more of a do as I say, don't do as I do kind of situation.
Not good. It's not. It's not ideal, is it?
Not really. Oh, yeah, we'll have to see. Tabby on Facebook raised a point that I haven't mentioned, but seeing as Tabby's mentioned it, I'm going to jump on it because why not? So I've been sparing you some of my opinions on the pod, would you believe, about this storyline. I know, right? So Tabby says, I would say there's nothing wrong with being a fangirl, but she's taking it way too far, LOL. Now, I want to pick up on this comment because this storyline has made me a bit uncomfortable with the whole fangirl, teenage obsession, stalker thing. She's obviously portraying it really well, but the storyline is so exaggerated. It's almost like a Channel 5 afternoon film. Those really cheesy films that go way over the top. Stalker, Fatal Attraction, but on a budget,
Yeah.
Really OTT. It's just nuts. Total character assassination of Ava, but the plot is to make her look like a complete psychopath, isn't it? Really, basically. But the underlying story of this is it's a fangirl. It's someone that's so into this band that she's become obsessive with this person. With Theo, that's the lead singer, etc. This storyline generally does make me feel a bit uncomfortable. Just because it's always young girls in these storylines getting sort of labelled as obsessive and stalkery and all of that kind of thing. And yet when you flip the script and it's a young teenage boy who's obsessed with a sports team or a sports personality, cries when their team loses, you don't call them, a fanboy, obsessive stalker. There's always this slightly misogynistic kind of thing about fangirls and being obsessive and stalkerish, and they've really taken this story and really gone to the extreme of making her that obsessive fangirl. It's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a stereotypical over the top thing that makes me a bit worried, a bit uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's putting people in a box, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not helping that whole. Yeah, it's not helping that situation really. It's exaggerating
it. 2023 conversation about equality. I completely take on board what you're saying. Actually, I'd not really given that too much thought, but is that because I'm male?
I don't know. What I mean? Yeah, it's something that's been in the back of my mind because obviously I've always been into bands, music And yeah, I think a lot of people would say I'm obsessive about certain bands because I'm a huge fan of certain bands and I've been to see them like 20 odd times in concerts and stuff. And I've heard that, oh, you're such a stalker thing. And when you're a girl and you've got that hobby, that passion, that interest, it does get belittled as stalkery, obsessive. But when you're a boy, because when you think about grown men crying when they're their sport team loses, football team loses, or rugby team loses, that's seen as passion. That's seen as, it's not seen as obsessive and weird and stalkery, is it? But if a girl cries at a concert because she's seen her favorite band for the first time, it's a joke. It's like, I don't know. It touches a nerve with me. I don't know whether you could tell. But I've not mentioned it so far. But seeing as Tabby's brought it up, I was like,
it's understandable. It touches a nerve because it's close to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you've opened my eyes a little bit just by describing that, because now I'm a bit like, yeah, there's a bit of like a societal conversation here, like you say about the misogyny and stuff. I'm trying to think, the comparison you're making to like a man and crying at a sports team and things. Ava's not just at the gig getting all emotional, is she? She is.
No, meeting the person. Yeah,
taking pictures in his bedroom, and if it was a fella doing it to like Kirby, he would be like, oh, he's a rapist, or like he's
be vilified, completely.
He
vilified.
would be yeah. So I don't know, but I agree with what you're saying, that it's pigeonholing a certain demographic. These bands have lots of young female fans. These sort of, especially the type of band Lyric are, these poppy bands, they're huge, the K-pops and the I'm showing my age now.
Them K-pops. I know. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and they are very passionate, these young girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, even I'm doing it now. I'm pausing because I'm a bit like, well, I'm pigeonholing them now just by talking about it, because I'm saying these young girls as if it's only girls.
It's such an embedded thing in our society to say, like, if a young girl's got a passion for something that happens to be, a band, or I don't know, it's just really easy to say, oh, young girl, obsessive fangirl. It's really disparaging, isn't it, that comment? And it makes me uncomfortable because it's been directed to me, even as an adult, like, oh, you're a stalker, you're obsessive. Yeah. I'm like, no, I don't see it that way. And it does get my back up. I'm not like Ava. I'm not saying I'm like Ava. God, do you know what I mean? There's a difference. But what I'm saying is this storyline perpetuates that stereotype, which for me has made me feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
although I'm not hating the storyline. I enjoy this kind of storyline. I love the Channel 5 afternoon film. I love the cheesy stalker, My Wife's Obsession, My Daughter's Obsession. I love all of those films. I enjoy watching this because it is usually OTT and entertaining and cheesy. But there is a little bit about this because it's a soap. I don't know.
There's a bit more of a weighted responsibility that comes with it being a soap. Yeah. And you're right to bring that up from experience, because you've got me thinking now. You've got me thinking.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.